The House will come to order. This morning, the morning pledge will be said by Brittany Rodrigue from Metropolitan State University in Denver, Colorado.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll.
Representative Arndt, Baisley,
Did you see that story
Beckman,
about in the camera today? The telephone, oh my gosh, awesome. There were like 8 cops showed up.
Excused.
Benavides, Bird, Bockenfeld, Buck, Buckner, Winteo, Caraveo, Carver, Catlin, Coleman, Cutter, Duran, Escar. Gotcha. Exum, Froelich, Galindo, Garnett, Representative Garnett. Geithner. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Gray. Hanson. Harrod. Putin. Humphrey. Jackson. Marquez Lewis. Kennedy. Kipp. Kraft Tharp. Landgraf. Larson. Lewis. Liston. Lontine. McCluskey, excused. McKean. McLaughlin. Melton. Michelson Janae. Mullica. Neville. Pelton. Ransom. Rich. Roberts. Sane. Sandridge. Singer. Representative Singer. Sirota, excused. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Titone. Valdez A. Valdez D. Van Winkle. Weissman. Williams. Please. Wilson. Madam Speaker.
With 62 present, 3 excused, and 1 vacancy still. 62 present, 2 excused, and 1 vacant. We have a quorum. Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that the reading of the journal for Monday, March 4th, 2019 be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. No one likes your motion, Representative Geithner. All opposed say no. What did you do to these people this morning? The motion passes. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Committee on Credentials will meet in the well.
Members, the House will be in recess while the Credentials Committee meets. We have a member who will be sworn in this morning, so that's going to be the first order of business. Okay. Communications from the Secretary of State.
State of Colorado, Department of State. I, Jenny Flanagan, Deputy Secretary of State.
Excuse me, Mr. Randall. Could everyone please be quiet? Thank you, members. Mr. Randall, please read the communications from the Secretary of State.
State of Colorado, Department of State. I, Jenny Flanagan, Deputy Secretary of State, certify that the attached is a true and exact copy of the nomination by vacancy committee as filed in this office on February 5th of 2019 by the Republican 57th House District Vacancy Committee, appointing Perry Will to fill the vacancy in the office of Colorado State House District 57 caused by the resignation of the Honorable Bob Rankin, in testimony whereof I have set my hand and affixed the Great Seal of the State of Colorado at the City of Denver this 17th day of February of 2019. Secretary of State. State of Colorado, Department of State. I, Jenny Flanagan, Deputy Secretary of State, certify that the attached is a true and exact copy of the acceptance of nomination by vacancy committee as filed in this office on February 5th, 2019 by Perry Will accepting the appointment of the Republican 57th House District Vacancy Committee to fill the vacancy in the office of Colorado State House, District 57, caused by the resignation of the Honorable Bob Rankin. In testimony whereof I have set my hand and fixed the great seal of the state of Colorado at the city of Denver this 17th day of February, 2019.
The House will be in recess while the Credentials Committee meets.
Right into seconds after this?
The House will come back to order. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request the report of the Credentials Committee be read.
Report of the Committee on Credentials, March 5th of 2019. The Committee on Credentials has made examination and finds that the certificate of the Republican Vacancy Committee for the 57th Representative District, State of Colorado, naming Perry Will as certified by the Secretary of State of the State of Colorado, is a true, complete, and an authentic certificate. Perry Will is declared to truly possess the constitutional and statutory qualifications and is entitled to membership in this body pursuant to law in such case made and provided. Signed, Majority Leader Alec Garnett, Chairman, Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy, Minority Leader Patrick Neville.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Credentials.
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Committee on Credentials say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The report is adopted. Will Representative-elect Will please join me on the podium?
I'm Susan. It's nice to meet you. I've heard great things.
Good to see you. Okay. Do you want to actually come up here so they can hear you?
Yes.
Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Perry Will,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
that I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And I invite Representative Will to head down to the well and introduce your guests and say a few words.
Perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations. Members, please be quiet so our newest member can say a few words and introduce his guests.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Representative.
Thank you. That sounds pretty good. I like the sound of that. You know, I was a little worried. I've been here a few weeks, as many of you know, sitting back there, and every time they do the roll call, it'll be one vacant, and I thought I was going to get that dang nickname at one vacant. So please come up with a different nickname for me. I do want to say that I'm humbled and honored to be standing here and to represent the state and to work with you all. I think it's one of the greatest honors ever bestowed upon me in my life, other than marrying my wonderful wife and having my great grandkids and my son and daughter and all my family's over here on the south side. All my bunch of my friends are up in the gallery there. So, well, I have nothing but true admiration for all of you here in this room and what you do. And with Madam Speaker's permission, I'm going to steal a little bit of one of her jingles that I heard the other day. And it was, Republicans are red, Democrats are blue, but I'm here and happy to serve with all of you. Even Melton and Pelton. So anyway, I want to say, because the guys are up in the gallery, didn't have enough room here, that's all my old game wardens that I supervised for many years. And I will say this, that's the best group of men in the state of Colorado. I was so blessed to have that quality of people. Standing up there are what Colorado's finest officers and game wardens the state have to offer. So, and I'm not just saying that, I mean it. So, and I appreciate them being here. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my family, and I think I already thanked my wife, but she's been with me 46 years, been through a lot, and she still loves me. So, and I got my sisters over there, brother-in-laws, cousins, anybody I bought gas for to come here, they came. So, got some great friends over here on the South Wall, some of my best friends. So I appreciate everyone being here, and I am very humbled, and I want to say that I'll do the best job I can for the people of the state and for the fine folks of the 57th District. And there's no greater honor, and I thank you, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Will. I and the entire chamber welcome you to the Colorado House of Representatives. Mr. Randall, I see you've added his name to the roll call. And Representative Will, you're welcome to take your seat in the chamber. Representative Will has been given the oath of office and his name has been added to the roll call of the House. Mr. Randall, please call Representative Will's name, and Representative Will, please let us know you're present.
Representative Will.
Yay! Mr. Randall, please read the committee changes.
Changes in the committees of reference. Committee on Education. Representative Buck is replacing Representative Ransom on the Committee on Education. Committee on Health and Insurance. Representative Will is replacing Representative Catlin on the Committee on Health and Insurance. Transportation and Local Government. Representative Catlin is replacing Representative Buck on the Committee on Transportation and Local Government.
Thank you, Mr. Randall. Representative Will, do you have any other announcements or introductions?
Sorry, members of the House. I got a little nervous standing here, and I forgot to mention my granddaughters, which are the most important part of my life. They're all well, please stand up. So, so I want to share with you. I want to share with you their God-given names. That's Bump, Hoot, and Pinecone. So, anyway, they're the reason I exist. The reason I live is right there, and my daughter Shauna. So you know, everyone knows that grandkids are the reason, you know, that you didn't kill your own kids. So, but they're great, and they're great little athletes. Softball, basketball, gymnastics. I was just in Montrose last weekend, just gymnastics competition. So, anyway, I couldn't be prouder. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Will. Thank you, Will family, for joining us at the People's House today. Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to let everyone in this chamber know, Perry Will, Representative Will, and Representative Pelton were both born and raised in Cheyenne Wells. His dad was my school bus driver, so I think this is a first. Town of 800 people, wow. We're both serving the same time.
That is so cool. And did everyone know that our state treasurer was actually the math teacher to Representative Buck? That is a true story. She doesn't hear a word I'm saying. Okay, Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I also want to welcome our new friend, our new family member, Representative Will, who spent a lot of time with me. I think he's got a heart of gold, and I can't wait to serve with him. Specifically, I didn't know what a game warden was, if I'm being honest with you. And so it's good to see so many of your friends up there, and to have someone who could help this city slicker understand a little bit more about rural Colorado. So welcome you to the chamber, and appreciate you being here. And then I'd also like to welcome and introduce a good friend of mine that is here today, Lauren Castile, who is leading the Women's Foundation of Colorado, mother to Jordan Castile. It's good to see you, one of my dear artist friends who is doing some great work. Lauren, thank you so much for all you're doing for the women of Colorado.
Thanks for joining us today, Lauren. Representative Buckner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And yes, Lauren, a lot of you don't know this. Lauren Castile is actually my cousin. Yes, her mother, Margaret Buckner, on the Buckner side, and I'm a Buckner, so we're cousins, so welcome, Lauren. But I'd also like to acknowledge the Women's Foundation of Colorado, and would all of those who are here with the Women's Foundation stand so I can give a little bit of information about this wonderful organization? Yes, the Women's Foundation has gathered 100 people from across Colorado to the Capitol to connect with their elected officials and hone their advocacy skills today. From Pueblo to Vail, to Northern Colorado, the participants are supporters of WFCO, including members of nonprofit organizations. The Women's Foundation of Colorado is a unique community foundation with a diverse group of supporters creating more pathways to economic security for women throughout Colorado. Established over 30 years ago, this organization advances women's prosperity through community, philanthropy, and programmatic impact. This includes supporting nonprofit organizations, providing direct services, and policy organizations advocating for systemic change. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate what you do. Welcome to the Capitol today. And members, please let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Women's Foundation, for joining us today at the Capitol. Representative Weissman.
Thank you and good morning, Madam Speaker. This is just an announcement for judiciary members. We have two bills today, 1205 by Rep. Arndt, also Senate Bill 100 by Rep. Tipper. Usual time, usual place. Thank you.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Health and Insurance Committee, which includes our newest member, Representative Will, we are meeting upon adjournment. We only have one bill on the calendar, House Bill 1065. The sponsor of Senate Bill 41 asked that we reschedule that, so we won't be hearing that today. So thank you. Remember, room 107, upon adjournment, 5 minutes after we're done. Okay.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, for everyone who's drinking coffee out there, do you know what this is? That's money. You know what the jar out there is for? To take the money. It costs $1,200 to keep those canisters full every session. There's 65 of us, so that divided out is $18.46 per person. And if you don't drink coffee, you can put in a 5 because your aides might be drinking it. And we run low each month. So if you can just remember to put more money in there, that'd be great.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, if I can have your attention, you know, last week we had a tough week. It was a tough and kind of a contentious week. We debated a lot of bills and so forth. Seems like it was just kind of a downer week and so forth. So I'm here to bring you some good news, some good economic news that we missed last week. The GDP, our economy grew in the fourth quarter last year by 2.6%, which was very, very healthy. Inflation remains very muted. Employment is up, and wage growth is at the highest of 30 years. So let's hear a good shout out for our good U.S. economy. Thank you, America. Thank you.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And while we can have some enthusiasm around some aspects of this economy, let's not forget the trade war that is happening in China, the issues that we're having around steel, and how that's hurting especially Midwestern farmers like soybean crop farmers in Iowa and many places across the country. So while I do feel good about some aspects, there's a lot of hurting people out there.
Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members. I'd like to remind everyone that today is Pollinators Day, and you have on your desks 2 little jars of honey, and one of them is from my brother, Ames Russell, who lives in Richmond, Virginia, and he has, in acknowledgement of Pollinators Day at the Capitol, he has provided each one of you with a little jar of his hot honey. Hot Southern honey, great on a cold Colorado day. Thank you, members.
That is so cool. Thank you, Representative Hooton. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Education Committee, we'd like to welcome Representative Buck to our committee. She's listening to me, yay. Don't forget that tomorrow we have joint education at 7:30. We'd love to see you all there. And we have House Bill 1192, House Bill 1203, and House Bill 1190 today. See you there.
Representative Catlin. And Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. It's an honor to serve with you.
Thank you. Representative Valdez and I are down here in front today to remind you that tomorrow is the Rural Caucus meeting at noon. There is going to be food, and the speaker and the host will be the Colorado River District to talk about the connection that each and every one of you have with the Colorado River. It is a big supplier of all your drinking water and a lot of the irrigation water on this side of the mountain. What we're hoping to be able to do is to show you those connections as to how close you on the eastern slope and in the Front Range and me on the western slope truly are in regards to the Colorado River. It'll start at noon downstairs in room 109. Boxed lunches for you legislators. This would be a good opportunity. If you haven't thought much about water, or if you feel like water is something that's just too complex, this is an opportunity for you to get one-on-one visitations with people that really understand it. No lectures, no telling you how it is. We're going to be there so that you can ask questions. We'll help you understand, and you'll help us understand.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it's an honor to serve with you.
You as well.
And at the Rural Caucus, we'll be talking about Colorado, and some of us here in the General Assembly represent some of those rural counties and rural communities. There's 47 counties in the state of Colorado that are rural, classified rural, and with that, we hope to see you there. Please RSVP to Representative Catlin or myself, and we'll hope to see you there. Also, I want to welcome Representative Will to the House. Congratulations and welcome. Thank you.
Representative Catlin, what day is that?
Thank you, ma'am. It's tomorrow at noon, and I'd like to welcome Perry Will. You might want to come to that. We'll buy you a sandwich.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With permission of the Majority Leader, I will be absent part of the day on Friday, March 8th, starting at 12 noon.
Permission to be absent is granted. Representative Hansen.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And members, I have one special guest with me today. In fact, the reason I am standing here is in the room with us. My mother here from Nebraska. Thank you so much for being here, Mom.
Thank you for joining us today. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, if you don't have lunch plans on Thursday, we're having a meeting of the Public Investment Caucus to take a dive into the Gallagher Amendment and what it means for funding for special districts across our state. If you, there's a flyer on your desk about it. If you want to get in on the lunch, please RSVP to my aide, Ryan, as soon as possible. Thanks a bunch.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Representative.
I have a tribute today. Could I have Mr. Randall please read that?
Members, please be quiet. We have a tribute.
The House of Representatives, convened in the 72nd General Assembly, hereby extends sincere commendations to NecroSearch International. Since 1988, the nonprofit organization NecroSearch International, a group of interdisciplinary scientists and specialists, has been assisting law enforcement in locating clandestine graves. Founded in Colorado, the organization uses scientific and law enforcement methods such as botany, geology, computer analysis, geophysics, and canines for the excavation of graves and the recovery of human remains and associated evidence. The group has conducted searches in 45 states, 10 countries, and have worked on over 300 cases. They also maintain a test site and offer a training course exclusively to law enforcement personnel. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to honor the contributions of NecroSearch International to victims, families, and law enforcement agencies and wish them well as they continue their honorable work. On request of Representative Brianna Tatone, given this 5th day of March 2019, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, it is my honor today to pay tribute to an organization that many of you have never heard of, and that's not likely your fault. It's because this is a humble group of people that have dedicated their spare time and brain power to making our society a better place. That group of humble civilian and law enforcement crime fighters is called NecroSearch International. This is an important part of Colorado history that should be known. Though NecroSearch International cases have been topics of episodes on different cable networks, some of which still show on reruns, part of an episode of the Law Enforcement Television Network filmed in New Jersey at an International Association of Identification conference helped introduce NecroSearch to law enforcement community when it aired in the fall of 1991. Since then, NecroSearch has been featured on a 4-part series called Dead Reckoning, airing on the History Channel in 2003, and was subject of an hour-long National Geographic documentary which aired in the UK in 2006. When I found out about the group 4 years ago, I had never heard of them either. It was Jim Reed, my friend and former employer and geologist extraordinaire, who introduced me to the organization. After trying out for the FBI, I was disappointed that I hadn't made the cut. Disheartened that I wouldn't have the opportunity to make a difference in that way, I was excited to learn from Jim about NecroSearch and all the things they did. It piqued my interest. I started to attend meetings and eventually became a full-fledged member. Since then, I've had the honor and privilege to working with the most incredible people, the smartest, kindest, most interesting group of people I've ever met. When someone joins NecroSearch, they become part of the family. We have a couple quirky uncles that crack jokes just like many families do. We really care a lot about each other and the work that we do and the people that we want to bring justice for. This group is just as dedicated to the cases as law enforcement that we assist. So what is NecroSearch and who are the people in this group? It's a long, detailed story which can be read in the book No Stone Unturned by Steve Jackson, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. When I give the elevator pitch of what NecroSearch is, I say it's a group of interdisciplinary scientists and specialists who assist law enforcement to locate clandestine graves and evidence. We're a group of criminologists, forensic anthropologists, geologists of several types, botanists, dog handlers, and much more. So today we have some of our members. We have Griff Griffin, Clark Davenport, Diane France, Bruce Yokiosha, Dave Bieber, Cecilia Travis, Crystal Strauss, Kim Castellano, Jim Reed, Pam Smith, Michelle Walsh, Tom Bellinger, and me. We are very focused on technology and gizmos to help us in our searches, but perhaps our strongest contributions are brainstorming sessions that occur during case presentations by law enforcement agencies looking to help and continue on site as NecroSearch employs their expertise in technology. In addition to helping solve crimes, NecroSearch puts on an annual summer training class for law enforcement. This gives the opportunity for coroners, detectives, and other officers insights into scientific approaches to searching for buried evidence. This hands-on course is taught by members with decades of experience, which gives these professionals the opportunity to learn from the very people that have pioneered the techniques. This tribute to this humble group, a group that is focused on serving justice rather than being in the limelight. As I've gotten to know the members of NecroSearch through the meetings and the cases we've worked on, I feel very fortunate to know each of them. Everyone in this organization brings so much to the collective mind force. Because we've lost some of our members over the decades of service, this tribute today is to honor their hard work and the continuing work that has dedicated this organization that will do further work in science and justice. It is an honor to have you here today and to be part of this organization. Thank you very much. And please give a hand to NecroSearch International, please.
Thank you, Representative Titone, and thank you for joining us today. Representative Buck.
I just want to thank Representative Titone. I have to be honest with you. I feel like, where have I been not knowing anything about this organization? So I just really do appreciate what the legislature offers, and that's education of things that are outside our spheres. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Representative Titone.
Thank you, Representative Buck. Any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none, the next order of business is general order, second reading of bills. Representative Tipper. You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Tipper will take the chair.
Come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader. The court rule is relaxed. Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 32 until tomorrow.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, Senate Bill 32 will be laid over as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Do I need to go? No? Mr. Randall, please read the title of the next bill. House Bill 19-1201.
House Bill 1201, Representatives Kipp and Wilson, also Senator Quorum, concerning the ability of a Board of Education of a school district to meet in executive session to discuss the district's strategy in conducting negotiations relating to certain employment-related agreements.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 19-1201. There is no committee report.
Representative Wilson, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, this bill simply does two things. It allows the school board to meet in executive session to discuss strategy, and it also changes the statute to allow the board to do so.
Representative Kipp.
As my colleague, Representative Wilson, says, what the law is right now is basically like playing poker with your hand open. We don't want to have people playing poker with their hand open. We want fairness on all sides, and this is what this bill does. It passed out of Education Committee unanimously, and we ask for a yes vote.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I have a question for you. I asked this question when we presented this bill. How many of you have played Texas Hold'em or know what Texas Hold'em is? This bill is like playing Texas Hold'em, but you have to show your hole cards and the other person does not. So this allows the school board to leave its hole cards down and not reveal those hole cards during negotiations. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question for us is the passage of House Bill 19-1201. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. House Bill 19-1201 passes.
There you go.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 19-1180.
House Bill 1180, Representative Geithner, concerning the clarification of the definition of a police working horse for the purpose of cruelty to animals.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1180 on second reading. There is no committee report.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Folks, 1180 is a cleanup from last year. What it does is it strikes the word certified. Our police working horses in Colorado and across the nation are not certified. There is no certification process. So this cleans that up. I would ask for an aye vote.
Representative Benavidez. Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to move Amendment L001 and ask that it be displayed.
The amendment is properly before us and has been displayed.
Members, this bill, as the representative said, was a cleanup, that there was no certifications done for horses. But when this bill passed last year, it was that currently certified dogs that work for police departments or law enforcement agencies, if they're hurt, it's cruelty to animals, but there is an enhanced penalty of an additional $1,000 if it's a police dog. And this bill was intended to bring horses, who are also police animals in many cases, into the same situation. So that enhancement still exists, but if we take certified out, we're just talking about any old horse. So in order to clarify what horses we're talking about, what this amendment says is that the horse has to meet the standards of the law enforcement team to work in such capacity for the law enforcement agency. So I think this helps the bill, and I would urge a yes vote on the amendment.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
I thought for a second you weren't going to say that. It's an honor to serve with you, too, Representative Catlin.
Well, I was mumbling and stumbling. I'm sorry. Members, this was my bill last year, and it was asked to be brought by one of the sheriffs in my district who actually uses horses in regards to patrolling and those kind of things. It was supported by every department that uses horses in the state of Colorado. I've spoken to that sheriff, and what he wanted me to say was that every one of those horses has to fit and meet the standard that that sheriff's department or that police department sets up for these animals. So by amending the bill this way, we are still in the spirit of the bill last year, but it will help the local sheriff's departments be able to maintain standards for their animals that they use. I would urge a yes vote.
Representative Valdez, D.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I stand here in support of this amendment, and I thank the amendment sponsors for this, for bringing this forward, and you have my support on this.
Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to clarify, so you don't want a nay vote on this one, is that correct?
I don't know if I have the power to fine, but Representative McKean.
How do you follow that, really? Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would urge a no vote on this amendment, and here's why. We asked this in committee. Police officers who are mounted, who are equestrians who come and need that horse as a tool, while there is no true certification for them, they are using horses that they have the confidence in can perform the job. If you know anybody who does this kind of work or has horses, they may take old glue pot one day and they may take the buckskin the next day, but I'll tell you, they need to be able to grab the horse that they need to grab. And they are responsible for making sure that that horse can do his job. So I urge a no vote on the amendment.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a non-friendly amendment. I was asked to carry this bill by my local sheriff's office in El Paso County, and the way that we worked it out in terms of what the bill would do, it's very straightforward. It just removes the word certified. This amendment, I think, would actually add some confusion in the sense that it says, met the standards of the law enforcement team. Who's going to verify that it has met the standards of the law enforcement team? The standards are unique to each of the law enforcement agencies, and so I think this just adds confusion. It's unnecessary. There's no way to validate. I would urge a no vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Benavidez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to clarify, members, we did hear from witnesses, and we did hear that every law enforcement agency does have their own agency standards, and it would be up to them to determine. In fact, one of the officers talked about, when I raised the question of the Houston standards, which are kind of the blue ribbon standards that they follow, that is what they look to. And surprisingly, there are significant standards with regard to horses that you do, primarily mayors or geldings. They have to be of a certain size, they have to be of a certain temperament, they have to meet certain health standards before they can be utilized. So by limiting it to the agency and the standards they set, and if they don't set any standard and they want any type of horse, that's fine, but it met that standard that they have. But at least the witnesses seem to indicate, and it's for the law enforcement's benefit to have horses of a certain size, a certain temperament, to be able to do this work. So again, you know, I don't, if we are going to enhance a penalty for someone or some animal, we need to be clear of what kind of animal we're talking about. And I think these minimal standards are minimal, but it does give some direction and some hope if this is challenged in court because of the enhanced penalty. So I urge a aye vote.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would urge a yes vote on this. The man that asked me to bring this bill forward last year set standards for his animals. Let me tell you a little story about his outfit down there. These horses have been saved from the wild horse herds, brought into the state prison, and bucked out and gentled down to the point that they can be used as a working horse. After that process is done, the animal and the horse are trained together, and they meet the standards of that sheriff department. And from what I can understand, every sheriff's department is doing something in regards to the standards that they expect that horse to meet in training, in temperament, and how to handle himself in a crowd or in dangerous situations. I would urge a yes vote on this amendment.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I would just urge a nay vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, yes. I'm sorry. A request for division has been called.
Is there a question? I'll signal you. Just hang on. Just be patient. Don't be unbearable, but just give me a minute.
Members, the question is the adoption of L001. Oh, I'm sorry. Members, a division has been called. Oh. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment L001, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. More than 33 have arisen. The amendment passes. Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1180. I think we've discussed this. I don't need to beat a dead horse. Thank you very much for your support.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question for us is the passage of House Bill 1180 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1180 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 19-1130.
House Bill 1130 by Representatives Liston and Hooten, also Senators Cook and Fields, concerning a requirement that a person have a certification from the Colorado Peace Officer Standards and Training Board in order to be eligible to serve as the elected sheriff of a county of the state.
Can you put it down just a little bit? Oh.
How's that? Yeah.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, I move House Bill 1130, and there was no committee report. And I also ask, and I move Amendment L002, and it asks that it be displayed.
Thank you. L002 has been properly displayed.
Very good. Members, Representative Hooten and I are proud to bring this bill to you, and we have reached out and listened to everybody. We know that there's been some consternation about the various counties having their sheriffs post-certified, and what Amendment L002 does, it allows for an opt-in by the affirmative vote of the local board of county commissioners. So the first part of L002 is the opt-in provision that if the county commissioners of their respective counties want to improve and upgrade the requirements for their sheriffs to be post-certified, then they can vote in the affirmative. And the second part, that gives them an option, gives you a choice, gives you local control. And the second part is that if they want to just leave things as they are and don't opt in to raise the requirements, that's what the second part is. So we ask for an aye vote on L002.
Representative Hooten.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have nothing to add to this particular amendment. I think Representative Liston covered that pretty thoroughly. Thank you. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Melton.
Hi there. Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for a no vote on this amendment. We as a state determine, well, first of all, we haven't determined standards for elections or elected offices before, but that should be a state function. And to kick this down to the commissioners, I believe it puts things out of order. We're allowing commissioners then to determine the election standards of another county office. And so for that reason, members, I would ask for a no vote.
Representative Liston.
Well, members, I would ask for an aye vote because the sheriff really serves under the purview of the county commissioner. So we think it's fair and reasonable. This is voluntary. If the county commissioners don't want to do this and they want to leave the standards as they are, then that's just fine. But if they want to raise the standards a little bit and have a good, honest, sincere debate, this is good for the rural counties. A lot of people were saying to us, well, geez, what if you can't find a post-certified person in a rural county? Well, then this is ideal for the rural counties. Then they can vote to opt in or opt out. We're leaving it to the choice of the local counties. We would ask for an aye vote of L002. It's very fair, very reasonable.
Representative Hooten.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, just for those of you who don't know, POST refers to Peace Officer Safety Training. And it is, we'll speak to that to the bill, but that's what we're referring to when we refer to POST. Thank you.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To clear up, to bring one clarification, the sheriff does not answer to the to the commissioner board. The sheriff is a separately elected official and works in conjunction with the commissioner board, but does not answer to the commission board. I again renew my request for a no vote.
Representative Bockenfeld.
It's an honor to serve with you, ma'am.
It's an honor to serve with you.
Well, as a former county commissioner for 12 years, I know a little bit about this subject, and Representative Melton is correct. Sheriff doesn't work for county commissioners, but county commissioners determine the salary of the sheriff. There is a base salary that's established by the state, and we have the ability to negotiate with the sheriff on that salary and increase it if we feel it's necessary. So there is a certain amount of responsibility that historically has been given to county commissioners in working with other elected officials. I would ask for an aye vote on this amendment because I will tell you there are some rural counties that will have a very, very difficult time finding someone post-certified, and it's very expensive. And there's no reason why somebody who has served in the military or somebody who has been in the private sector of law enforcement and criminal justice. And there are a lot of people out there in law enforcement and criminal justice that are not in the public sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, please support this amendment.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you up there. Members, I ask for a no vote on the amendment. I'll reserve my comments on the bill when we get back to the bill, and I appreciate the spirit in which the sponsors are bringing the amendment, but I don't believe it's appropriate to narrow the choices that are before the electorate in any way, and what the amendment does is proposes to let county commissioners narrow choices before the electorate as to who may be a candidate for sheriff, and I agree with what my colleague from Aurora said. Certainly the commissioners have to work closely with the sheriff on matters of concern to the county, but it's not correct to say that the sheriff is in any way subservient to the commissioners. The sheriff is a duly elected constitutional office for law enforcement. In fact, the only law enforcement professional that is elected by the voters, and it's been that way in our state since 1861. I do not believe that we should allow a board of commissioners, even optionally, to narrow that. So I ask for a no on the amendment.
Representative Gray.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would urge a no vote on this amendment as well. I think in many ways the amendment itself undoes sort of the purpose of the bill. I think the purpose of the bill is to encourage someone with expertise in law enforcement to serve in the role of sheriff, but this would put power in making that determination. If we think that's a priority, then we should say that. If we think that we should have a priority of having a law enforcement officer with experience and certification in the job, then that's great. But if we then send it down to the county level, that decision-making authority is going to county commissioners who don't necessarily have any expertise in law enforcement. So if we think it's a priority to put somebody with expertise and experience and certification in law enforcement in charge of making these decisions, then we should go ahead and do that, but not then have it be a situation where you can then opt out by folks who don't have any of that expertise that we're looking to put forward in this bill in the first place. Thank you.
Representative Herod, and then Representative Liston. Representative Liston, going once.
Well, members, I would just say that while the Board of County Commissioners, they do have a certain amount of experience, they oversee the sheriff's budget in all of the counties. The sheriff goes to the county commissioners and lays out his budget and so forth. So they work very closely with the sheriff. And yes, they may not be police officers and so forth, but the sheriff can go and make his case, his or her case, and whether to opt in or to opt out. This is very reasonable. Colorado, the state of Oklahoma, I might add, has a requirement or has a provision similar to this, and probably other states as well. So this is fair, it's reasonable, it brings the local control. If the various counties don't want to do it and they want to leave their standards as they are right now, then that's just fine. But the sheriff can make the case. The Sheriff's Association is fine with this amendment. It's been vetted. They are for this amendment. I urge an aye vote for L002.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, in the spirit of what we just heard from one of our colleagues who represents rural Colorado, I agree with most of his arguments. I will say that the reason why I'm opposed to this amendment is because you're putting the power in the wrong hands. You're putting the power in the county commissioners to decide if they want this process or not. The power should be in the people of that county. Those counties should be the ones who decide if their law enforcement officer should be post-certified before they run or not. If we look at the history in Colorado, if we look at how we have added requirements to people who run for office, the only time we have done that is through a vote of the people. The people decided that the DAs were going to have to be lawyers first, right? The people are the ones who should decide if we're going to limit access to the ballot to only those who can afford to be post-certified, or only those who are already working with that current sheriff in that county. So what this will do is keep things a little more insular, as opposed to allowing anyone who wants to seek a higher office, who wants to seek office, to run and run on their merits. Now, you don't have to vote for someone who isn't post-certified. You don't have to vote for them. You don't have to vote for someone who isn't out of high school. But the option is still there because that's how a democracy works. So this is putting the hands of our democracy into the county commissioners when, quite frankly, we should be having this amendment say, you can do it if it's through a vote of the people of that county, quite simply. So I ask for a no vote on this amendment. I ask for a no vote on the bill.
Representative Hooten.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I would just like to remind everyone that it is a city council or a city manager that hires a chief of police, and those members don't necessarily have direct experience with law enforcement.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, members, I would also remind to my good colleague from Denver that the sheriff of Denver is appointed, not elected. Sheriff of Denver. The sheriff of Denver is appointed, not elected, which is fine. This has to do with the counties. So this amendment does not affect the sheriff of Denver at all because that sheriff is appointed. The other thing, which I'll just bring this up, is that any chief of police in any town, large or small, cannot be the chief of police until they're post-certified. And that is a directive by the city council or whoever appoints the chief of police, the mayor or the city council. So there again, this just goes back to local control. If the Board of County Commissioners who are elected by the people, they make many, many decisions on behalf of the people of their respective counties. And the people are fine with that. So why can't they make this decision? This is not dictating who can run, who can't. It's just trying to raise that level of professionalism that we would want and expect out of a sheriff today who runs a very complex organization. This is not the sheriff of the 1930s who has just a little jail or the sheriffs in the movies that are supposedly bumbling people. The sheriffs, as we know here in Colorado, are dedicated professional law enforcement men and women, and that's all we're trying to do is allow those counties, whether they want to give them that option of raising their standards or not. Once again, I ask for an aye vote of L002. The Colorado Sheriff's Association have no problem with this amendment. This amendment was vetted to the Sheriff's Association. The very people who have unanimously endorsed this bill, they are fine with this amendment. If it's good enough for the sheriffs, it ought to be good enough for us. I urge an aye vote.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, the Denver sheriff is appointed, and if we wanted to go to an elected system, which people have asked, we are going to a vote of the people in Denver to make a change. And that is very important. We should, if we have elected positions, go to a vote of the people if we are going to determine what the qualifications for that office are. We are not even required to be able to read here. That is not a requirement to run. We are not required to have advanced degrees. That is not a requirement to run. For instance, a coroner, does anyone know if a coroner has to have requirements before they run for office? Absolutely not. But they are required to be certified up to a year after they take that spot. And that is what's happening. It's a system that works well. But yeah, sure, you say that the county commissioners, that the sheriffs have all supported this amendment. Well, yes, they brought the bill forward. They probably don't mind picking their successor. But I think we should have an election. I think we should have an election, and if someone is not post-certified and runs, it does not mean they're qualified. What about a veteran? There's a lot of other people that might want to take this position and at least try, at least run, without having to shell out the $50,000 first in rural Colorado. Who's going to be able to do that? So again, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. Ask the county sheriffs if they would be okay with requiring that this goes to a vote of the people. Because that's who should determine what the qualifications are for the ballot. It's the Colorado way. It's what we've done in Colorado. It's in the Constitution. The changes that are made happen through the ballot. Now, this is I'm not saying this is not a constitutional bill or not a constitutional amendment. It is. That's in there. And I appreciate the bill sponsors for drafting it that way. But I am saying when we have the power, we have not done so in the past, and it's very important that we follow Colorado tradition and history. Again, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. It should be a vote of the people who determine who can run for office, not an insular group of county commissioners in their wisdom to decide if someone should and shouldn't run. Real quick, I just want to play it out for a second. I just want to play it out for a second. So we've got people who are county commissioners, and then you've got a question before them on an election year. You know, we run for about 2 years these days. They know exactly who they're talking about. They know exactly who wants to run for these positions. And they get to decide yes or no if that person can actually run for office. Seems like a little hijinks can ensue there. So, do we want our county commissioners to decide if someone can run for office or not? Or should that be determined by a vote of the people and stay that way? Or should it be just left up to them at their whim to change and to approve in each election cycle? I ask for a no vote.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, members, you know, the argument supposedly from my colleague is that anybody should be able to run for sheriff. And here in Colorado, I'm just going to read to you some of the things that are required of the sheriff, just some of the things. It's not like I or Joe Blow can just walk in off the street and necessarily run. This is actually from another state, the state of Tennessee. Colorado's is just as rigorous, if not more so. Just a few of the things. No person shall engage in the practice of law or serve as a member of the General Assembly while serving as sheriff. That would rule us out. A person shall be a citizen of the United States. They shall be at least 21 years of age. That's here in Colorado. They shall be a qualified voter in the county and a resident for at least 1 year. They have attained at least a high school diploma. They shall not have been convicted or pleaded guilty, plea of nolo contendere or any misdemeanor. There's a whole list of misdemeanors. There are a whole litany of requirements that we place on our men and women who should run for sheriff. And in fact, it's gotten the sheriffs who run the jails and are officers of the court, serve the papers. They're very complex organizations. They need to be certified, or they should be certified. All we're trying to do is give those rural counties an option that if they want to have the current status quo, which is what it is right now, that's fine with us. But if they want to raise their level of professionalism and standards and competency, then that's something that they can do. It's very fair, it's reasonable. The sheriffs support this. Let's allow the sheriffs who are on the front line, allow them to do this if the counties want. I urge an aye vote on L002.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L002. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. The noes have it. The amendment is lost.
Just a little bit, Larry. Really short.
Back to the bill.
Okay, back to the bill. Well,
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, members, we kind of got into the bill a little bit, so let me tell you what this bill does, since we argued about the amendment. Simply to require that an individual obtain a valid or provisional peace officer standard training, post certificate. So when we say post, that's what we're talking about, commonly known as post certified, in order to be appointed, elected, or nominated for the office of sheriff. As I indicated, let's be clear, the office of sheriff of any county, large or small, is a very difficult and demanding position. Sheriffs today have immense responsibility. They're not like the Old West where they can just do anything they want. They run very complex organizations. They're called upon to run and operate the jails, serve subpoenas in tough situations, and are officers of the court in very high-octane judicial environments. Today's sheriffs are true law enforcement professionals where they oversee complex civic law enforcement situations. So we ask that if they're going to be running these large complex departments, that they be post-certified. It's something that the sheriffs want. As I indicated, the Sheriff's Association has unanimously endorsed this bill. Unanimously. They want this. There should not be on-the-job training for sheriffs. So we want our sheriffs to be ready and trained and certified from day one. This bill is practical, and it will require the county sheriffs to be properly and professionally certified before they are considered for the job, not a year later. This bill will save lives, it will save careers, it will save reputations, and it's an example of good governance. As I said, the Colorado Sheriff's Association have unanimously endorsed this bill. We ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1130.
Representative Hooten.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'd also like to add that post-certification requires passing a written physical skill test, a psychological exam, to ensure that the individual is capable of being a peace officer. This should occur before someone is eligible to run for an office that requires them to be a certified police officer. There is risk that a person elected to the office of sheriff could spend the first 6 months of their year in office in a police academy only to fail the academy psychological exam and not be eligible to be certified as a peace officer. Then what? The statute says the county has to withdraw their pay, but that's it. What's the cure? The answer is not to allow this to happen in the first place.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it gives me no joy to have to argue against this bill by our colleagues from Boulder and El Paso counties, but nonetheless, that's what I need to do for a number of reasons. We have heard often in Judiciary Committee from sheriffs of both parties, law enforcement professionals I have a great deal of respect for on a variety of issues, and who I think who are respected in their communities. But they stood for office, and they won election, in some cases repeatedly, and they earned that respect from their communities and in turn from us here. And I think that's the critical point, is the choice needs to be left to the voters and not narrowed in this way. As I mentioned a minute ago, this is the only elected law enforcement position in the country. We've been electing sheriffs in Colorado since 1861, and I think it's important that voters continue to have a say in this. If we look to where the qualifications are set upon other offices, we find that they are constitutionalized. District attorney requirements, Section 13, Article 6 of our Constitution. Judge requirements, Section 11, Article 6 of our Constitution. Attorney General requirements, Section 4, Article 4 of our Constitution. Requirements for us as legislators here, Section 4, Article 5 of our Constitution. This would be doing something, I think, with little or no precedent, which is imposing conditions precedent on who may run for office as a statutory matter, with 100 of us here presuming to take a choice away from going on 6 million people, going on 4 million voters in Colorado. In committee, we heard, in my recollection, 2 examples from all of our 64 counties in 20 years where it ever happened that anybody was elected without having already obtained a post-certification. And what we heard is that those individuals went to academy and attained the required certification, as they are required to do under existing law. 2 examples in 20 years, and folks complied with the law. So I do not believe that we have a problem here that needs as drastic a measure as this one. You know, another type of argument is, well, would we hire a lawyer who hasn't been to law school and passed the bar? Or would we hire an electrician to work on our house who doesn't have the relevant experience? You know, maybe we wouldn't. But I think a key difference there is that those are private individuals acting in a private transaction, not individuals standing for a constitutional elected office. I think that's a key distinction. You know, finally, you know, I've thought about this. Would I, as a voter, vote for a candidate for sheriff in my county who wasn't already post-certified? I'll be honest, the chances are pretty low that I would ever do so. It would take an exceptional example, somebody with some other relevant background, maybe a former DA. But the absolutely critical threshold point here is that that is me making a choice as an individual, as a voter, not me as a legislator taking that choice away as one of 100 from nearly 6 million people. I do not think that we should take this choice away from our constituents, from the people who send us here. So I have to ask for a no vote on 1130. Thank you.
Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. What an honor it truly is to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
There you go.
Well, today's the day, because, you know, anyway, so I'm here to speak in favor of this bill. And I'm here actually to counterpoint a little bit of what you heard from my honorable colleague, which is this is the depth of the kind of transaction that he was thinking of. This really is. Because what you're really talking about here is the ability for a sheriff to serve the people of his county. And that doesn't just mean the citizens who would be deprived of their sheriff while they attend post-certification training, which could take 6 months. Some counties we have 3 people in their sheriff's office. So that would reduce their sheriff's deputies and their sheriff by 30% for 6 months after they've been elected. So this is one of those things I think that we come and we find that there are necessary times when we require a certification. The other people that sheriff serves are his deputies, her deputies. They are the people who have to carry out constitutional duties. And I guess the question I would ask of all you is, how on earth are they supposed to lead an organization if they don't have the same training as the people in their organization as far as rules of evidence, as far as the Fourth Amendment, as far as being able to know and understand all the underlying constitutional responsibilities they have? So I don't think this is a bridge too far. I actually think it's about time. It's about time that we say, if you're going to require post-certification to do the job, you ought to have post-certification to ask for the nomination to do that job. Vote in favor of this bill.
Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I would just like to remind everyone that we do nationwide searches for a chief of police. The qualifications for chief of police are quite rigorous, and we do nationwide searches for them. Why would we hold our county sheriffs to a different standard?
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, members, let me try and educate you or inform you a little bit about what the post requirements are, because they are very, very strenuous. First of all, the course is at least 6 months long. That is 6 months out of the office. If the sheriff is not post-certified, he or she has to attend the post classes. It's not an online course. It's not something you do on the weekend. It's not something you can knock off in a couple hours. Let me give you some idea. The post-certification here in Colorado is a minimum of 548 hours of instruction. It's almost 400 hours that covers criminal justice, basic law, human rights, victims' rights, community interaction, patrol procedures, investigations, communications, arrest procedures, firearms training. You know, just yesterday, members, we voted on a very, very controversial bill about the various deputies having to go serve the warrants on the bill that we discussed yesterday. Our sheriffs are putting our deputies in harm's way. And if they're going to be sending them in harm's way, they should know and understand and be certified themselves. Let me give you an example, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, of what happened, of what could happen next month. If I could have your attention, please. Next month is going to be the 20th anniversary of Columbine. Next month is going to be the 20th anniversary of Columbine, God forbid. The sheriff in 1999 was not post-certified. We had a very, very tragic situation that blew up in his face, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is that sheriff in 1999, he was just elected in 1998, was not certified. Unfortunately, that gentleman did not know and realize what was going on. Things spiraled out of control. It became an unmitigated disaster that cost people their lives. And now then, we're saying that we want to have potentially that same situation occur here in Colorado. I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, this is a good, fair bill. We are putting people's lives, not only the deputies at risk, we're putting citizens at risk and their reputations at risk. We don't want our sheriffs to inadvertently send people in harm's way. My good colleague who chairs the Judiciary Committee did a fine job of listening to all this. We had 4 distinguished sheriffs come and testify from both parties, both sides. This bill does not affect them, but they strongly testified for this bill. It made good sense. Once again, I repeat, the Sheriff's Association, sheriffs from large counties and small counties, they all want this bill. They realize it will raise the professionalism and the competency and the esprit de corps of all of their departments. I sincerely ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1130.
And just members, if we could remind ourselves to keep the conversations off to the side. I'm having a hard time hearing the folks in the well. I have Representative Melton next, then Benavidez, Roberts, and Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do commend the sponsors for all the hard work that they've done on this bill, both of them. But I do believe that there are unintended consequences by passing this legislation. Members, we are talking about restricting access to the ballot. We're talking about keeping someone from being able to do a public service because we're adding on extraneous requirements and standards. Public service is not exclusive. And I'm sorry, but to serve the people of Colorado shouldn't be a country club. But we're requiring that they take a $10,000 post-certification course just to become an elected official. That's not right. That's not what we should be doing. We should allow the voters to determine who it is that they want to serve as their county sheriff. We should allow the voters to decide what qualifications that person has or doesn't have, and then determine if that's the person they want to be in charge of public safety. And I do take issue to the idea that because the sheriff in Arapahoe County was not post-certified, that Columbine happened. They had nothing to do with it. Oh, the incident had nothing to do with it. So, really, members, what we're talking about is, again, making elected office exclusive. And I believe that that is a very, very slippery slope. We don't have requirements like this on the governor's office, on the Treasury, on the Secretary of State, nor on the AG. All 65 of you are able to serve your communities by meeting just the minimal requirement of living in your district, being of a certain age. That's it. We don't require that you have any post-secondary education. But that's what we're doing if we pass this bill for the sheriffs. We're saying that you have already either had to have been a law enforcement officer or you got to pony up $10,000 in order to run for office, in order just to be a candidate. Forget your campaign, just to be a candidate. So members, let's not take away the power from the voters of determining who it is that they feel would serve best by making this call. Let's continue with what we have in statute, which already requires that they become post-certified after they're elected. And let's continue to have faith in that our system, which has been in place for well over 100 years, will continue to promote public safety. Members, I ask for a no vote.
Representative Benavidez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'm going to put a little different twist on this bill. This is a statute that has been in place for 22 years to require that sheriffs obtain post-certification if they don't already have it at the time they're elected. This bill seems to be a resolution in search of a problem. The testimony we heard was that there were only 3 instances in the last 22 years where someone ran for a sheriff and won and didn't have post-certification. 2 of those instances were in very small counties, in Archuleta County and in Kiowa County. Sometimes it's difficult to find candidates for any office. So in both of those counties, the 2 people that were elected did obtain their post-certification. They did serve their entire term as sheriffs. That shows that this statute works. The 3rd case was referenced, which was a Jefferson County sheriff during the time of the Columbine shooting. He was in the midst of obtaining some training, so he was away. It's not like they're gone for 6 months straight. He was at a training class. They called him, and he went to the incident. Had he been in a meeting with the mayor or city council, had he been at a doctor's appointment, the same thing would have happened. They would have called him, he'd have rushed over there and been part of the team. As all of you know, unfortunately, there was a lot of issues that came out of the Columbine incident. And as a result, there have been a lot of changed protocols for law enforcement because of how that incident was handled. But that particular sheriff completed his training and he completed his term. So those 3 instances in this state under this statute, those sheriffs have obtained their training, they've served their term. It shows that this statute is working. So it's not something we have to fix. This bill is fundamentally about access to the ballot. You know, do we really want to determine for every county in this state who can run and who can't run? The reality, if you have someone who's completely unqualified and unfit, I firmly believe that our voters throughout this great state are discerning. They are not going to pick somebody who won't be able to learn and do the job. There's a lot of jobs. All of us are in these jobs, and we never did this before. We've never made decisions on areas of the law we know nothing about, and we're doing it now. And these can result in people being in prison, things being taken away from them, and we're voting on it. The sheriff has people there with them that helps them. They have legal advice from their DA and others. We aren't just saying you're now in charge and you've never had any training or you can't do this job. That's what this provides for, to allow the time for sheriffs to receive training. So members, this is a good statute and it doesn't have to be changed. So I would urge a no vote on this bill.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in support of House Bill 1130 with great respect to the arguments on the other side, but thanks to Representative Listenhooten for bringing this bill. I think I rise in support because this is a narrowly tailored condition of a really important office. Sheriffs in counties are both the managers of their department, but also the ones who decide how law enforcement is conducted in that county. The post-certification is one of the only ways that we can have a standardized form of policing and good conduct in Colorado. And with respect to the my colleagues from Arapahoe County and Adams County who says that voters can make the right choice, often in rural Colorado, these sheriff's races are unopposed. So you will often have a situation where the only person who signs up to run is going to be the sheriff. I think in those situations we need to have at least a base level of regulation, knowing that our sheriffs can be trusted, that they are ready to go from day one. So I'd ask for an aye vote on 1130.
Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of this bill. Columbine High School is in Jefferson County. It is not a part of the city of Littleton, even though it's a Littleton mailing address. In April 20th, 1999, at approximately noon, Jefferson County asked for assistance from adjoining agencies. There was a shooting in progress. At that time, I was a Littleton City Council person, and many people know that my husband was a police officer for 29 years in the city of Littleton. The first group of responding police officers included SWAT-trained police officers who were on duty as detectives and patrol officers. They carried SWAT gear, including SWAT weapons, with them in their cars and were trained to immediately report of an armed person. Regional tactical teams had been equipped and training, both city and county, to go to the shooter. Littleton SWAT had trained in the Littleton schools and were trained to enter the school building and had trained the active shooter procedure that called for armed law enforcement officers to confront the shooter inside the building. Several Littleton SWAT team members, including a sergeant, were progressing through Columbine High School toward the shooters when a decision was made by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office to stop that movement. They were given a direct order over the radio to go back to the command post. The sergeant was asked several times for clarification, not wanting to do that. The order was to leave. That was then followed. A perimeter was established. That is different than what counties and cities were being trained. There was a new sheriff in town, and the sheriff department called people out and they set up a perimeter. We've all seen the pictures of the many, many agencies with cars around Columbine not going in. But because of lawsuits and gag orders, it was very rarely talked about that you had really good police officers that ran to the shooter. These are high-profile cases, high risk, high liability from the day they are sworn in. I would ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if you haven't lived in a place where law enforcement officials are not elected, then you might not have the appreciation for how important that is and how important it is that voters can decide at any moment without restriction who represents them. When two of my daughters were ages 18 and 17, they got pulled over by a Douglas County deputy sheriff, two deputies in the same car, pulled them over when they were coming home at about 10:30 at night. And the reason that they gave for pulling them over was that the rear window was dirty. And they ultimately gave a ticket to the two girls with the two officers crowding around their car. They gave them a ticket for a taillight being out. Now, it was an old Astro van, and one of the 4 lights on that side was out. 3 were working great, but they gave them the ticket for having that one light out. He didn't hand them the ticket. Rather, the girls drove home, and I remember as a typical dad staying up until your daughters come home, and then as soon as I hear them driving up the driveway, I let myself fall asleep. But I woke up minutes later because those deputies did not hand the ticket that they wrote up to my daughter. Instead, those 2 deputies followed them home. And they shined their flashlights in their bedroom windows in our house where I still live today. And then they got them to come to the front door, and he says, "Hey, I forgot to give you this ticket." Now, what's this all about? Is this 2 officers making sure that they're doing the right job and making sure that this citizen gets that ticket that she needs to have? Or was this 2 officers looking for a date with 2 pretty young girls? 2 officers trying to get dates or whatever from these 2 pretty young girls by shining their flashlights in their windows. That's my county, Douglas County. Now, how did I react as dad? I went down to the station the next day and I raised holy hell like you cannot believe, and I can't believe that they didn't shoot me in the head for my behavior there because I was pissed.
Representative Baisley, can we just make sure we tie it back to the bill? Thank you very much.
The reason for this, why this is relevant, is because you don't always elect your sheriff because they have the right training. Sometimes you elect the sheriff because you need some house cleaning. You need that department to run respectfully to serve the citizens. And you don't always get to decide 6 months ahead of time to have someone trained in order to vote for them. It is important that the voters always have the choice. No matter the timing, the voters need to decide who is the armed enforcement team in their community. This is a terrible idea to restrict. And to restrict, I could not agree more with my fellow representative from Aurora, that to limit the voters statutorily for whom they can vote is a terrible idea. We don't tell the voters for whom they can vote and restrict them to a sliver of people when they should be able to elect the local janitor from the high school if that's who they decide to vote for. This is a terrible idea for a bill. Now, we need to trust the wisdom of the voters and not restrict them. Now, they're going to make smart decisions. There's going to be someone elected who will be the right manager, the right attitude, the right leader, a community leader. And in most cases, of course, it's going to be someone who rises up through the ranks of that department. And okay, so it's inconvenient that that person may have to get training and certification in the ensuing months. But so be it. That's too bad. That's a shame. I wish it were perfect, but it's not. But far more importantly is we allow our voters to decide who represents them, and especially who represents them with the force of weapons. So this is a terrible bill, and with all due respect, to my colleague, Representative Liston, I strongly, strongly urge a no vote on this bill.
Representative Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning.
Good morning.
I rise in opposition of the bill just because I am from a rural area. I don't want to have to pull out my amendment card that excludes my counties one more time, but this bill will keep people from running. And we need more people to run. We need competition in these races for sheriff. We need that in rural Colorado. So I'm just, with all due respect, I'm concerned that this bill will keep people from running because they'll have to come up with this money on their own. Please vote no. Thank you.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, first of all, I want to set the record straight. because as it pertains to when I spoke about Columbine, in no way was I implying that Columbine occurred because of that elected sheriff. I want to set the record straight. What I was saying is that unfortunately a bad situation got worse because the sheriff was not qualified. He was not post-certified, and he sent deputies in harm's way that could have resulted in deputies being killed. So I want to set the record straight on that. As to the money, I would remind everybody that you can be post-certified if you work for a department. Many times you work for an agency, whether it's the sheriff's department or the wildlife agencies or whatever, and they will pay for your post-certification. You don't have to pay anything. They will pay for that. And there is such a thing as scholarships. You can get scholarships. You can, there's a lot of ways that you can find if you're sincere and you really want to be a sheriff, just like if you want to go to law school or dental school or be an airline pilot or whatever, you can have somebody, you can work and become sheriff. And you can find the ways to do that. The other thing that I want to make a distinction of is that it was brought up that, well, you know, we have private transactions. If you have an electrician or an attorney or whatever, those are private transactions. Yes, they are, but you're not putting life and limb on the line each and every time the way a sheriff could when he sends his deputies out. So there's a real distinction on this. So once again, members, I remind you that we're not trying to limit anybody running for sheriff. We're just trying to raise the level of professionalism and competency that we demand from so many professions today. So once again, I urge and I vote on House Bill 1130.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I voted for this bill in committee, and here's why. When you are sheriff and you are directing investigations that involve constitutional rights, rules on the use of force, I do not know how you can operate as sheriff during this interim period when you have not had the basic post-training, just to ensure that citizens who are subject to these investigations, that the rules are being followed. And so it's, to my way of thinking, somewhat analogous to a district attorney candidate having a law degree. There are some things so basic that you need that knowledge on day one. And that's why I voted for the bill.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question. A division has been called. Division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of House Bill 19-1130, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. With more than 33, House Bill 19-1130 loses. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 19-049.
Senate Bill 49 by Senator Fields, also Representative Michelson-Janae, concerning increasing the statute of limitations for certain failure to report child sexual abuse crimes.
Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 1949 and the Judiciary Committee report.
Thank you. To the Judiciary Committee report.
The Judiciary Committee report created a technical fix. There was a connection that was not made in the Senate to statute, and we fixed that. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Judiciary Committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill extends the statute of limitations from 18 months to 3 years in cases of child sexual assault for mandatory reporters. What that means is, if a child has reported a case of child sexual assault and the mandatory reporter has not reported, the child has 3 years from that date to say, you know, I told somebody something happened and nobody did anything about it. Why this is important is because abusers who get away with abusing children and don't face consequences continue to abuse children. And the sooner we take abusers out of the picture, the sooner we can save more children. And the mandatory reporter is our key to that problem. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 19-049. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Senate Bill 1949 passes.
Thank you.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1003 until Friday, March 8th.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the House Bill 19-1003 will be laid over. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 19-1150.
House Bill 1150 by Representative Tatone, also Senator Danielson, concerning the recreation of the Consumer Insurance Council's advisory body to the Commissioner of Insurance.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee stand in a very brief recess.
The committee will stand in recess. Committee will come back to order. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1150, one bill.
Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, House Bill 1150 will be laid over, as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Ms. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 19-1166.
House Bill 1166 by Representative Singer, House Senator Zenzinger, concerning name-based criminal history record checks in connection therewith, requiring certain persons and entities to submit to a name-based criminal history record check as a condition of employment, appointment, or registration, licensure, or certification.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know Representative Larson is here joining me today. He has been added on as a co-prime, which will only show up after third reading. But with that, I move House Bill 1166 and the report, committee report on business affairs and labor.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the Business Affairs and Labor Report, we did an amendment that fit with the recodification of Title 12, passed unanimously, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Business Affairs and Labor Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. The Business Affairs and Labor Report passes. To the bill. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1166 is a bill that basically says that arrest does not equal guilt, and if you're applying for a job, that you should be able to make sure that every last detail is accounted for when you're applying for that job, to ensure that if you have an arrest that was erroneous for whatever reason, it doesn't exclude you from that job. And with that, I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo the comments of my esteemed co-prime and ask for a yes vote.
Well said.
Any further discussions on the bill? Members, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 19-1166. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. House Bill 19-1166 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 1925. Oh, my apologies. Mr. Randall, can you please read the title of House Bill 19-1150?
House Bill 1150 by Representative Tatone, also Senator Danielson, concerning the recreation of the Consumer Insurance Council as an advisory body to the Commissioner of Insurance.
Representative Tatone, welcome back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1150 and the committee report on health and insurance.
To the committee report.
In the committee report, we made a small amendment that made it so anybody who wanted to participate in the council who needed to have health care for their child, child care, not health care, but child care for their child, so that way they could participate, because we had low participation in the council, and this would give more participation in the council.
Thank you. Members, is there any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the health and insurance report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The health and insurance report passes. It's adopted. To the bill. Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, we have House Bill 1150, which is the recreation of the Consumer Insurance Council. And the Insurance Council is a group of advocates and citizens that have an interest in insurance. And insurance is a complicated subject. There are a lot of different types, and this covers all the different types of insurance, whether it be health insurance, car insurance, liability insurance. I mean, it runs the gamut. And when consumers need a voice, this is the council is the way to do that. The council will have a way to actually talk directly to the insurance commissioner, and then the insurance commissioner will have to respond back to those questions that they have. So it's a good way to get people involved and have consumer voice when it comes to insurance matters. I urge a yes vote.
Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do respect Representative Titone for bringing this forward, but last year, this was one of the only sunsets that we did go ahead and approve. Dora had come and really talked about how this committee was very, very duplicative, and that it wasn't necessary to have this. It was almost an additional layer of accountability to citizens. And so the insurance commissioner is appointed by the governor and is responsible for taking calls and getting input from people about insurance issues, and also responding on questions through his agency to answer those questions. The big issue I had with this is that there was really no diversity at all. And that's what I found last year when we had so much testimony from the commission at the time, is that it was a very almost agendanized commission. What this does, it actually allows the commissioner to appoint all members of the council. So you would have almost, it wouldn't be a diverse council is one of my concerns. And so I would ask for a no vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion? Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I also urge a no vote. This is one of the few things that I've actually seen where the department itself actually comes in and says, we can go ahead and sunset this, it's not needed. And now we're bringing it back. I know the bill does add some provisions in there, but what we've seen in the past is this council's been used as a way to basically give favors or special awards to other people, and that's my concern. And I think that, quite frankly, it's not needed. The insurance commissioner can go seek recommendations from consumers themselves. They should be doing that to give them an official appointment. One of the things that, a word that I heard that kind of scares me is advocates. Advocates for what? We shouldn't be creating an official board that puts advocates for any political agenda on any sort of official capacity or board, and I just don't think it's really necessary, so I urge a no vote.
Representative Stone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, the awards that were given out by the Insurance Council last time are not in the bill anymore, and advocates are advocates for consumers, so these are people that are looking out for consumer interests. Urge a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1150. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The bill passes. Mr. Randall, can you please read the title of Senate Bill 25?
Senate Bill 25 by Senator Smallwood, House Representative Hooten, concerning providing information to public school students regarding laws that provide for the safe abandonment of newborn children.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 25, one bill.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, Senate Bill 25 will be laid over one bill at the request of the Assistant Majority Leader. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 9.
Senate Bill 9 by Senator Todd, House Representatives McLaughlin and Wilson, concerning providing financial incentives for educators to work in rural areas.
Representative Wilson. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to work with you.
It is an honor to work with you.
I move Senate Bill 009 on second reading, and also the Appropriations Committee report.
To the report.
There's no I'm sorry. There's no report.
There is no report. To the bill. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, this bill does two things. It increases the stipend amount to give more flexibility and removes the number of stipends. Second of all, in the second piece of it, it removes the limit and keeps the $6,000 limit. These Two limits were imposed by earlier legislation that allowed for more flexibility in rural schools and getting more people into education. Senate Bill 18-085 was one, and that was one that dealt with the $6,000 maximum. The other bill was Senate Bill 16104, and that's the one that had the 40 stipends and $2,800 range, and we're changing that maximum amount. It gives a lot more flexibility for the awards, and just so you'll know, 23% of all teachers in the state of Colorado, I'll repeat that, 23% of all teachers in Colorado are on an alternative licensure plan, and this allows for more flexibility for those folks to continue to find their way into education. I urge an aye vote.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill offers more opportunity but does not require any more money from the general account here, and it's really good for teachers, and I also request an aye vote.
Representative Valdez. D.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a good policy for rural Colorado and for rural educators. I want to thank the bill sponsors for bringing Senate Bill 009, and you have my full support. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Senate Bill 9 passes. Mr. Randall, can you please read the title of Senate Bill 25?
Senate Bill 25 by Senator Smallwood, House Representative Hooten, concerning providing information for public school students regarding laws that provide for the safe abandonment of newborn children.
Representative Hooten.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 19-025.
Please proceed.
Members, Senate Bill 25 would add information to the comprehensive health education curriculum in Colorado's middle schools and high schools on where a newborn can be safely and legally abandoned in the first 24 hours of its life. Safe haven laws were first enacted in 2000. The problem is not enough teenagers know about this option, and as a result, Colorado sees too many newborns being left to die in unthinkable circumstances. It is our hope that by educating students on the safe haven law and locations, the number of newborn deaths as a result of abandonment will drop significantly. We heard touching testimony from a 16-year-old girl who was abandoned at a fire station and adopted soon thereafter, providing strong evidence that safe haven laws save lives. Safe haven locations include fire stations, hospitals, community clinics, and emergency centers.
Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I just want to urge you to vote yes on this bill. This is a very good bill. Thank you to the bill sponsors for offering it. It's a terrific subject, and all Coloradans should be informed about it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members before us, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 25. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 25 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 35.
Senate Bill 35 by Senator Cord, also Representative Benavidez, concerning enforcement measures available to the Department of Revenue for the collection of delinquent taxes.
Representative Benavidez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I move House Bill or Senate Bill 35 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations report.
Members, the Appropriations report basically appropriates $6,750 that allows the Department of Revenue to update some software issues in their drives program with respect to motor vehicles. So I urge a yes vote on the report.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this bill does, it codifies certain enforcement measures already being utilized in Department of Revenue. What these measures do, they're based on what IRS does and follows case law that have protections for taxpayers, and that they are already working under these measures, but they're not codified. So the actual codification is much more detrimental to taxpayers. So this is an improvement to that. And again, they're following case law and already doing this. So I urge an aye vote on the bill.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 35. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 35 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1209.
House Bill 1209 by Representatives Froelich and Valdez A. concerning repealing aeronautical reporting requirements.
Representatives Froelich, and we'll start with Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
Likewise, an honor to serve with you.
I move House Bill 19-1209. There is no committee report.
Thank you. To the bill. Representative Froelich.
This bill eliminates the redundant reporting of aeronautics information to CDOT. All reporting is already going to the Federal Aeronautics Administration, and it is only, so therefore, there's only reporting of redundant information to the Colorado Department of Transportation. This bill eliminates that. We ask for a yes vote to fly to third reading without turbulence.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you. And as my colleague, Representative Froelich said, this is a very simple revisionary bill that will just change some reporting guidelines. Ask for your aye vote.
An emphatic hand from Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, not only is this a first-year members bill, not just one, but two sponsors that are first years. They have the audacity to come down here and use really bad puns. By the way, you need a Senate sponsor. With that, members, vote your conscience.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to ask on behalf of Representative Melton if these reporting requirements apply to seaplanes or do not apply to seaplanes.
Representative Melton.
If we could amend the bill to include seaplanes, then I think that's what we should do. I move that this bill go back to committee.
Representative Sane.
Second that motion.
I'm going to rule the motion out of order. I don't know if I can do that. Representative Valdez.
I urge an aye vote.
All right, back to the bill. Seeing any further discussion, seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1209. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Ooh. House Bill 1209 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 46.
Senate Bill 46 by Senator Tate, also Representative Arndt, concerning an amendment to the definition of appraisal management company to align with the definition in federal law.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 46. There is no committee report.
Thank you. To the bill.
To the bill. Members, this bill is another statutory revision committee bill, and it changes the word retain. Let's see, that's the federal law. We're truing up the state law because it says train. So, but I do have an amendment. L003. Yeah, I'd like to move L003 and ask that it be displayed. Members,
the amendment has been properly displayed. Representative Arndt to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment trues this bill up with the Title II conforming amendment, and I urge an aye vote. Title 12 conforming amendment.
Members, is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? No? The amendment passes. Representative Arndt, back to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, this is just the amends the definition of appraisal management company to align with the definition in federal law. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none. Members, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 46. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 46 passes. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice job today. I move the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
Okay. The House will come back to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole Biggs Leave report has under its consideration the following attached bills being the subcommittee of the respective organizations thereon. House Bill 1150 is amended. House Bill 1166 is amended. House Bill 1180 is amended. House Bill 1201, House Bill 1209 passed through request and placed account for third and final passage. Senate Bill 9, Senate Bill 25, Senate Bill 35 is amended. Senate Bill 46 is amended. Senate Bill 49 is amended. Passed through revised placed account for third and final passage. Senate Bill 32 is laid over until March 6, 2019, retains place on the calendar. House Bill 1003 is laid over until March 8, 2019, retains place on the calendar. House Bill 1130 is lost on second reading.
You have heard the motion. Let me start over. There are amendments at the desk. Mr. Randall, please. Oh, you haven't heard. Representative Tipper. Now you have heard the motion. There are amendments at the desk. Mr. Randall, please read the Liston amendment.
Representative Liston moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting House Bill 1130 to show that House Bill 1130 passed.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I can have your attention, please. Members, we had a good debate on House Bill 1130. I appreciate it, but I just wanted to come down and set the record straight. First of all, this bill was not brought forward in any shape, form, or fashion to try and limit anybody to be able to run. All we're trying to do is raise the level of professionalism and competency for the office of sheriff. The office of sheriff, as we've stated, has immense responsibilities. Each and every day, the sheriff is sending men and women into harm's way to serve subpoenas, to serve warrants, to do the duties of that are required of the deputies. They're putting their deputies, men and women, in harm's way each and every day, and they are affecting the lives of the citizens of what they're doing. We should want the sheriffs to meet these high standards of the post training. Let me give you an idea once again of what the post certification is like. It is not an easy course. It is not like what was maybe done 30 or 40 years ago. You have to have almost 600 hours of instruction. You are away from your office. You're away from your duties for 6 months. 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, 6 months. Your academic hours, almost at least 400 hours of academic hours, you're covering criminal justice, basic law, human rights, which we talk about here every single day, human rights, victims' rights. We want the sheriff, they set the tone in that office for their deputies each and every day. Community interaction. We talk about supposedly the heavy hand of law enforcement that can come down and take people's rights and liberties away. The sheriffs are the leader of these departments, and they're no small departments. In the bigger counties, you've got hundreds of deputies. They run the jails, which we're talking about criminal justice. The sheriffs run the jails. They have to have high standards. It's not an easy job. They need to know how to do this. They do investigation work, communications, wellness, all kinds of duties. I might add that this is a national trend. 18 states already have these requirements. It's been talked about financially. Financially, we're not trying to discourage anybody. We're all professionals. A lot of us are professionals, even if you're not. If you want to go to law school, you save up and you go to law school. If you want to go to medical school, you do the same thing. You may have to take out a loan. If there's a will, there's a way. You can't be a med tech in this state. You can't be a vet tech. You can't be an electrician. You can't hardly do anything without a license that requires training and and so forth. So why would we want to have a sheriff who does not know potentially what they're doing, and yet each and every day they can send someone in harm's way? The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, you can't be a chief of police in any community in this state, whether it's Eads, Colorado, or Holly, Colorado, or on the western slope, you name it. You can't be a chief of police at all unless you're post-certified first. And yet, as a sheriff, you have far more responsibility. You're running a jail. You have a department which is as large or larger than most police departments, and you have a geographic area that is far larger than any community or any like the city of Denver. You have to send a deputy maybe 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 miles to take care of something that is putting their life and limbs online. So for these reasons and many more, besides of which, the good sheriffs of our state, their sheriff's association, unanimously, not once, but twice, endorsed this legislation. So colleagues, I urge an aye vote on 1130. Thank you very much on the
Representative
Liston count.
Liston, do you want to move your amendment?
Yes, and I move the Liston amendment to the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm one of the folks who stood with Representative Liston when we had the division on this bill, and I did support it, but we took a vote. The votes were clearly there. They weren't there with us. I don't think we need to have a Committee of the Whole amendment to do something, to confirm something that clearly didn't happen. So I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the Liston amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 19 aye votes, 46 no votes, the Liston amendment fails. There are no further amendments at the desk. The question before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Okay. Representative Ransom. Please close the machine. With 47 aye votes, 16 no votes, and 2 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is passed. Announcements and introductions. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Transportation and Local Government Committee, now featuring the Representative Mark Catlin, will be meeting exactly 5 minutes after we go into recess here to hear House Bill 1067 and House Bill 1207. See you there.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to remind the members that Rural Hospital Day is tomorrow at the Capitol. They're having some events. Go to have lunch there. You don't have to eat lunch with the Rural Caucus, I guess. But I do want to remind you that the rural hospitals of Colorado will be in the Capitol tomorrow. There are 31 hospitals that are considered rural, and over 67 employees and people that are affiliated with rural hospitals will be in the Capitol. Please acknowledge them. Thank you.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, the Black Caucus does invite you to our Black Caucus Foundation reception tonight at Blair Caldwell. It's about 10 minutes away on Welton Street. Everyone's invited. There will be food and refreshments. Please do come if you have questions or want to chat with us. Let us know. But it should be a really good time, and it's one of our in our historic African American library right up the street from here. We'll be going from 5 to 7 with program, probably starting around 6. Thanks.
Any other announcements and introductions? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.